Hey guys, what's up? In today's video we are going to take a look at a concept that's called the rule of three. Probably most of you haven't heard about it. It basically means that you try to make a three different variation in three different things in your loop so that you can have, or you can use these different loops or different variations to create kind of a different or more evolving track in your, or more evolving sounds in your track. So most of the things that I see, especially with the new beginners, is that their track doesn't evolve too much, so they get a really nice loop, but that loop never evolves into something, and then you really get bored after a while. And there's actually quite simple solution for that, and most of the times it works, because then you end up really a lot of different variations, and then you can just change up the things and try to see if you can actually use any of those for your own purposes. So let me show you what I mean by those rule of three, and let me get you through the loop so that we can make it together. So the loop actually sounds like this. So basically I have a bass, and then on top of that I have a pluck. So let me delete this one because I'm already using this guy over here. So simple, I will say pluck sound. But of course there is no variation in it. So what you do, the rule of three means that you play with your notes. So you play with your MIDI file over here. So you play with your MIDI and try to come up with different variation while keeping the original one. So you have to keep this one and make two more variations. And those variations doesn't need to be really different. So you make these slight changes. And the second thing says that you have to change the, I will say, the parameters of your instruments. In this case, I am using SERUM, so I will play with the parameters. So I will make the sound evolve a little bit depending on which part of the loop that I'm looking for. And the third part says that you have to play with the effects of your sound. So, and that of course has to be having three different variations, so that in the end you have 3 times 3 times 3, 27 different possible variations in your sound. And this is actually quite easy to do. And that gives you those worlds of opportunities to evolve your track into something. So let's try. The first one here is actually just copying this part. I'm using, by the way, mouse pad, so I will be slightly slower in this process. So let's do this, and let's call this, let's say this is our second variation for the notes. So what we are going to do is actually we are going to play these notes and try to see if we can come up with something different. So, and make it a bit easier for ourselves, let's create another MIDI here, put it there, and then call this variation 2. I'm really sorry, mousepad, it's not my best capability, I would say. Let's call word 2, and let's duplicate this guy over here, and let's call this word 3, and let's duplicate one more time. Let's call it ref, or let's call it war 1. So war means that variation, basically. So that we have these different parts in track so that we can go back and take a look. So what I'm going to do is, as I mentioned, I'm going to play with the MIDIs. It doesn't need to be too different, but I will just try to come up with a slightly different alternate melody. Let's try. To make it easier, let's shorten this up. And I'm thinking at the moment, like, let's put it this way. And let's just loop this. This will be our first variation. And maybe this one goes down. Now I'm thinking even that was enough. Let's duplicate this. feel like a bit more variation can be even better. especially here. Variation 1. Again, you don't need to really aim for too crazy differentiations, because then you will have problem with the consistency in your track. So idea is come up with a really nice melody and then try to alternate it slightly, that you can actually use it in a different part of your track. So let's do the variation 3. Let's play slightly different in this one. So for this one, let's go down. I'm thinking of, let's go down here as well. Let's check the first one, second one, third one, and see they are sounding fine. I think the third one is not that good, but just the sake of the tutorial, we are going to keep it. Otherwise, I would probably play with it a bit more than what we did here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to copy this over, just because I don't want any other variation than the reference one, because in this part we are just going to play with the instrument itself, so I don't want variation in the I would say MIDIs. So what we are going to do, we are going to delete these variations here, so that we always have exactly the same notes for all three variations. So let's turn this off, turn this off and start playing with the instrument and see if we can come up with some different parts here. So what I'm thinking, for example, in the beginning, I'm going to play with the, I will say, kind of cutoff, maybe filter, maybe a little bit, I will say a little bit with the amp. Let's see. Let's automate this, make this. I'm thinking even playing with the release a little bit at the same time. Let's also play a little bit with the resonance. Okay, this is fine, not more than this. And let's go to second loop. Because we play with the cutoff and resonance, let's try to come up with something else. I'm thinking, for example, attack this time. There's of course a bit too much. I'm thinking of putting a bit of these as well. Decrease the cutoff. Okay, let's do it this way. I feel like there's a bit too much. Even play with the first envelopes attack a little bit maybe. This is the third one. So now we have this reference case. The kind of aggressive part. And this kind of more break style. Good. And the third one will be the playing with the effects. So we are playing with delays and reverbs and stuff and try to come up with something interesting. So again, I'm going to copy the original reference case here. Put it there and down. At the moment, I'm really not caring too much about the naming because I'm a bit limited with the time, so I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. So we are going to delete these and just duplicate this guy over here so that we are using exactly the same notes. At the moment, I think I have some SERUM in like effects here, so you can actually play with them if you have. Let me see. I have a distortion course, so not that important. Let's put a delay and reverb and play with them instead. The reference case again here, so we are not gonna play it with too much. And let's play with this one. By the way, I said 27. That's not really correct, but it's not really important either. So let's go. Let's turn this off. Let me see what we are automating here. Let's turn that off. Yes. Let's turn this on. And let's get the reverb. And let's play. I want to have this kind of ambient sound. Let's put a delay on top of that. And then we are going to group them up. So we can basically turn them on and off when we are comparing different stuff. This is fine, this is good. This was more reverb and delay based stuff. What we are going to do now is actually try to come up with something else. Let's do kind of more crazy stuff. Let's add like overdrives and some other crazy type of modulations. For example, let me see what we have here. Erosion would be fine. Overdrive erosion, making sound a bit more aggressive and crashy. And let's group them up to start with. And then what you are going to aim for at this moment is actually, let's turn this off and turn it on in this the last variation. And let's play. Go a little bit more crazy here. What can we do? Yeah, grain delay. Let's try that. Let's put an EQ. I like this high crispness on top end. Oops. I would like to decrease this a bit more. Maybe like this. So what happened now, we have different options that we can utilize when we are trying to come up with neat combination with the sound. Let's say I started this track. I'm really loving my loop here. But I am looking, for example, opportunity to make this one a bit richer on the high end. What you can do, for example, we just created an example with the a sound with all these effects on top of that. So you can either parallel compress or parallel process if you want to have the track a bit more interesting or a bit richer. In this case, it could be just duplicating this guy over here, for example, put it there. And then what you're looking for at the moment is, because you are only interested in that high-end part, then you can just copy this under it. And for example, you can use this one when you are going for the kind of chorus of the track, so that you can put this layer on the bottom, even though you are not, like, nobody almost understands. People will think that actually you're opening cutoff or something, but this is basically putting the second layer on the original track, then you have this rich sound. So I don't know at the moment how they will sound together, but let's try. And let's blend them. Here we go. Adding this high crispiness to the sound. Or let's say you are going for the break, and then you want to have this kind of more breakish sound, or you want to have kind of, you are going to the second part of the track. Let's say you are looking for a bit of variation, then you go for probably this second part here. But this is too clean. You would like to utilize some kind of delay, some kind of effect. All you need to do in this case is actually, either you can copy this one and put it below, and let's do that. Let's say I want to have this before we go into the break, and I can just take this guy over here, and I think it delay was here. And let's play. Turn this off. Oh, I have this super nice, and I can put that under it a bit high end. Now we are doing ethereal techno. And then let's say I am not happy and I would like to go and try different stuff. So I would like to have a kind of automation. I would want to go graze. I want to go for the chorus, for example. So we remember that we had this sound over here when we were preparing. However, I will definitely think that more like a kind of delay is really would be nice. Now I'm going to carry this guy over. Sorry, what I'm going to do is actually carry my delay pattern or my delay group over here on top of that. Let me see where that was. There we go. It is there. So what we're going to do, put it on top of that. But I often suggest, by the way, keep these 3 different variations somewhere in your track, so that don't do like this the way I do. I put them on top of each other, so it gets a bit messy after a while. So keep the reference 3 different variations somewhere in your track, so that you can move there from the new channel, so that you can play around. This kind of creates playground for you to try different ideas. So what we were doing, we have this movement over here, but we would like to also the variation on top of that, and a lot of effects. Let's put there. Just because of this middle variation also leads a better, like a chorus. You already have this kind of a new bar or the new part of the song feeling. So I think that was it. I tried to make it as short as possible for this one, but idea is simple. Rule of 3. So you create 3 different variations of the MIDI. You create 3 different timbre of the sound by playing with your synthesizer parameters, and you create 3 different effects with your synthesizer, and you start playing around them. You put for example, you try the effects in a different MIDI, or you try the different MIDI in different timbre type, or you blend 3 of them at the same time, or you can even blend 2 different things in the same channel. So this gives tons of different sound or the variation opportunities for your track. So keep this in mind when you feel like you are stuck and you cannot make your track a bit more interesting. But other than that, I think this is the end of our video. My camera is dying. I'm in a hotel room. I don't have too much time. And I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. And until next time, goodbye.